Ian,
Yes.
it's not often we get news about a new piece of NES merchandise that comes to light, or I guess NES
I was gonna say
ephemera.
I think this
Ephemera.
goes beyond merchandise. Yeah.
Ephemera. I like that word. It's the word of the month. Ephemera. And especially Nintendo World Championships. Ephemera. We know we have. I've been to conventions where you see ticket stubs and the programs, and you see the hats and the shirts. And I should have bought that hat when I saw it, and things of that nature.
Right.
Little stickers. But this is something. The NWC controllers, which I had the opportunity to buy one, and maybe I should have taken that opportunity. But anyway, this, however, is not an NWC cart that's been found. It's not an NWC controller. It's an NWC NES console.
That's crazy.
It's really, really interesting. It came across on Reddit. It seems to be legit. It was found in the greater Seattle area. So that's where a lot of this shit gets found, because that's where Nintendo is. Comes from someone that used to work at Nintendo a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So when you look at this NES, the first thing you do is you look on the back of it, and it looks like a Cat 5 cable, like an Ethernet type cable.
Yep.
Port in the back, riveted in. Looks like some sort of screw rivet job to keep it in there. And then there's pictures of it opened up, and then from that, I guess, little old-fashioned Ethernet little port, you can say, wires running to the board, to the actual main board.
The board itself is different as well. It actually has on it Nintendo of America Champ 1 Rev A on it.
And it says 1989, which was right before the World Championships in 90. So everything's lining up as to something special. Now you might ask, Pat, what the hell is this? So I guess collectors and people took it for granted not to track one of these down before. According to a thread I saw on Nintendo Age, there is a collector that might have already had one of these. So we always took for granted how they started up multiple competition carts at the same time to start precisely the same time. So when the way the Power Fest worked was that whatever you pay, you try out on individual machines, and it didn't matter if you were competing against someone else, because they were just recording your score to see if you moved on and qualified,
right?
For the semis. But what happens though when you get to the grand stage, when you have 3 sets of 30 people and you have to compete at the same time? How do you start all the machines at the same time? Well, this is how you'd have to do that. You'd have to daisy chain together multiple NESs, because otherwise on a regular standard NWC card or ROM, the way you start is pressing start on player 2 controller. So they'd have to rig something to have one controller press start to start multiple machines with multiple cards at the same time. And this is how they did it, it turns out. But no one's really thought about it or tracked this down before here that I've known about. I've never seen one of these before, heard of this.
No, I didn't even know about it until you brought it up, last night? Yesterday?
So it's amazing how something that wide out in the open that you would not really think about now comes to light, 28 years later, Pat Math, that it would come to light where this is how they did it. And it's interesting because now people are trying to put a value on this, which we can get into, but this is almost like the final piece of that NWC puzzle. Because, hell, you can find the freaking track suits that the people wore. I almost bought one. The onesie suits. There's orange and blue ones, I think. There's the hats, like I said. The merchandise. There's the ugly-ass dolls somewhere around here they sold at the event. Like I said, the stickers, the little press things. There's the trophies people have. The scoreboards, like little tacked up things. There's all this merchandise surrounding the Nintendo World Championships and the Power Fest 90 competition, but this is was the missing piece of it. That is pretty much it.
Right.
This is what they actually on the grand stage would have played the games in. It's cool.
It is. I mean, how many of these were there? Probably.
How many could they have made? They could have made more than 40 or 50 of them.
Right.
There couldn't have. There'd be no need for that many.
Nope.
Of them. And then some break, and because again, you wouldn't have to use these or a huge amount of these at every competition site. You just need it for the last stage of each of the 30 sites, and then you'd have to use them at Universal Studios. That's really it. So you wouldn't need to have, like I said, the average person coming up and playing, average kid, doesn't matter if they played at the exact same time as someone else. They just go on their station, they're recording the score, and moving on. But for the head-to-head, you need these. You would need multiple of these to make it work. So that's cool stuff, right?
Yeah, it's wild.
Someone on Nintendo said paging Game Master Howard to get his word. He probably doesn't remember it. He's like, guys, I have no idea what was going on.
Please just leave me alone now.
So this is obviously extremely rare. So do you want to talk about if more will pop up? Do you think you got a couple more out there? Who the hell knows where the rest of these can be? How many there actually are remaining versus how many they actually, did it? Nintendo Age, the person who said, "How do I acquire this console?" The user who joined Nintendo Age in 2012. A few weeks ago, my wife responded to an ad on OfferUp for a GameCube kiosk. The listing stated, "I'm going to throw in my collection and take offers from who can pick it up soonest." Well, that's always a good sign. Included in the ad were pictures of kiosk, the GameCube one, and a collection. A couple of tubs of stuff and a Pikachu statue that was pretty rough because I kept outside. The ad was posted in the morning, and later that evening they responded with a meeting place. I will later find out that they had responded to another buyer, but we were the first to arrive. So we meet the seller. I went through the tub, which included some nice items, Chip and Dale 2, some sealed Virtual Boy games, a couple of fantastic N64s, consoles, accessories, and games. When we got home, I went through the tubs and sorted it back in the tubs and stored them in the garage. I hadn't noticed the extra port on the NES yet, so it seems like they just picked up all this shit. So,
right.
NES, N64 stuff, Virtual Boy, here's the price. Okay, they get it. So one of the tubs was clear plastic. It was the one that I placed the NES in. The main buying point of this was the GameCube kiosk. It was one of the more uncommon ones that came with the flat screen TV. We worked on it first, cleaned it up. It was a little dirty. A few days later in my garage, walking by the clear plastic tub, good thing it was clear. He might have not noticed this forever,
right?
That it was there.
Jeez.
I noticed the extra port on the NES. I did a little research with no findings. I took a few pictures, not noticing the text on the board. I'm blind, sorry. I then posted it on our local retro gaming Facebook group to try to get more info. I also contacted an expert I met and I see all the time at the local gaming expos. He didn't have any info on it, but contacted some of his friends who wanted to see more pics of the board. Someone in the Facebook group had suggested that it could have been used at the NWC 1990. However, without any solid proof, this was just a theory. About a week or more after the purchase, I finally took better pictures of the board that hold the extra port. And for believe it or not, I did not notice the text on the board. Man, you got to use that magnifying glass. A few days later, I sent the pictures to my expert friend. He noticed the text right away. This was the first time I noticed the text as well. All right, got to get that prescription upgraded. He said he was sure it was an NWC console. He asked me if it was for sale. I told him not yet, and that I would still like to get 100% proof that this was an NWC console. I also posted the new pictures to my original Facebook post where someone was following. I posted another Facebook group, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this has to be it. There's no way this could be faked, first of all, that easily. But with all the story behind it and the providence of it, this has to be legit. Of course, you could say, oh, someone's going to fake this. But to fake something that never was found before that we knew about would kind of be a risky proposition.
Sure, could it be fake now? Yeah, but the likelihood of someone going through the hassle of that.
Yes.
For this? No.
So this is the cool part about it, at least to me. Now, if you get the guy who supposedly has the other one, you can try this out. You can
see if it works.
You can get an NWC cart. You don't even need it. So you get two EverDrives with it. Hook them up with that. Find whatever that exactly looks like, an Ethernet type cable. See if it works.
Bing. Yeah, just
that'd be awesome.
Check it out.
Because it seems like it's wired to the board to connect to communicate with the cart and the controller port, and it's awesome.
I would want to try to get like as many as possible just to watch it happen.
Hey, we tried it on the second annual NES marathon. We didn't have this hooked up. We played the two NWC cards next to each other. If you remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do.
We didn't have the special NESs to do so though. So I'm glad that people were honest with him and said, "Oh, this is nothing. It's fake. I'll give you $20 for it. I'll give you $50 for it." Champ 1 board. That's interesting.
Yep.
So they were thinking about this obviously months and months before the NWC championship.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, what about the value?
Oh God, I don't care.
I'm just saying. This would probably go for.
I can't put a price on it. I mean, it's tough.
Tough for one of a kind items.
It's tough for one of a kind or two of a kind or whatever unknown items. It's tough for items that have only been out for, that have only been made known for a short period of time. Yeah, I have nothing that I could possibly guess.
Well, the controllers, not many of the controllers that exist. if I had to think about how many controllers are listed, it has to be less than 15 of them. It's got to be maybe 10 or 12 of the NWC controllers, whereas they say 1 or 2 on them. Chris Tang, good old Chris Tang, used to have like 3 of them. I think he has 1 left. I think he sold 1. I was thinking about buying at the time. I was like, eh. But those usually go between like, I don't know, $2,000 and $3,000, something like that. So that's something that's hard to find than a great NWC card.
I remember seeing those, the controllers.
Oh, they're cute. Yeah, I've seen one. I've seen it in person. They're silk printed on the front. It's very hard to try to fake one of those. So there's not a lot of those, and that's the closest thing to this, to a console.
Sure.
Now that has a cool NWC, logo on the controller. This just has an Ethernet port in the back. So when in the terms of collectability of something, a lot of times is how does it look? Does it look cool?
Unfortunately,
this looks like a regular NES when you look at it, unless you turn it around. So if I had to guess, if this was past Retro Game Roadshow, I don't know, maybe you get like $7-8 for it.
Oh,
maybe 10.
Yeah, I would say more.
I'm just saying what I think you would comfortably be able to get from a collector that want to pony up the money. But we'll see. Maybe you get more. Maybe you get 15. But it comes down to all these factors. Is it the collectability of it? Saying you have one of a kind. How many collectors want to say I own this one of a kind, or 2 of a kind, whatever else?
Sure.
Who knows if there's others out there? People don't realize it. People buy it at a yard sale and then realize, hey, what's this little thing in the back there? Hopefully some have been bought and then junked.
Right.
Start going to all those Washington State yard sales and garage sales and Craigslist. It seems like that's the best place to live to get this shit. I wish I lived there.
Absolutely.
You get those Campus Challenge carts popping up and NWC carts and Star Fox competition carts that pop up every other fucking year, in someone's garage. So yeah, it's cool. It's something like this. I think you said to me before, like it's cool that an NES item comes out of the blue that you don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't expect that sort of thing to ever happen anymore.
Well, we had the Nintendo PlayStation prototype a few years ago. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't expect to find that.
Yeah, and
this is something else. What's next? What's left that we can possibly think of that would come out? Is that it? Is there anything missing?
No.
No, there's nothing missing. Well, I'm working on finding out about a certain game with a certain pro wrestling friend of mine, trying to track down a ROM of something, but stay tuned on that. Trying to think of something that is the mystery of something out there.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, then again,
there's games that people like the N64 Earthbound, people want that.
Yeah, but by nature of the fact that it was something we never knew about, we would not be able to guess.
We won't be able to think about it.
Yeah,
it's a catch-22.
It'll just happen.
All right, it's an NES catch-22. All right. Well, best of luck to the person who decided to sell it. Hold on to it. I think it'd be cool to try to, like I said, daisy chain it up to another one to actually get the experience of doing that.
There would be something satisfying about pressing one button, watching games on like 4 TVs.
But with brilliant people out there like Bunny Boy, maybe they can reverse engineer and create their own little championship board and create their own. Why not?
Well, they certainly could, I'm sure.
That'd be pretty cool. Then you can actually do it at an event without saying, okay, ready, 1, 2, 3, press up.
Yeah.